Hello, Mark Lowdy here at IPBC Asia in Tokyo. In the first session this morning, we heard this comment from Marcus Wu.
Many of our organizations talk about the ecosystem as undergoing fundamental change. We talk about betterment of life. We talk about contributing to an invention economy and building an invention economy. We talk about engaging in IP, in particular patents, as forming and participating in an economy that where IP we're building a currency of invention. Are we really building this currency of innovation, or are we just living in an opportunistic environment where anything goes?
That question from Marcus Wu is now one that we're going to discuss with Michael Lin from Marks & Clark Hong Kong. Thanks for joining us here at the Palace Hotel Tokyo. You know, that comment from Marcus about what we're all doing this for and how we extract value of IP, not just for lawyers, but obviously also for the greater good, is one that you concern yourself with all the time. Tell us about your partnership with IM Magazine.
Well, so what we have is we're working with this new group called IPBC, International IP Commercialization Commission, and we have a very, very simple but noble goal, which is to really make sure that IP is used for the betterment of mankind. It should be something which helps out people rather than just sitting on the shelf collecting dust, paying annuities for something that is never actually used. So that's our goal. We're an Asia organization that's less than 2 years old, but we already have 10 chapters. Probably within the next few months we're going to have another 4 chapters, so hopefully we'll have almost 14 chapters by the end of the year. We started off in Hong Kong, but we've got America West Coast chapters, we've got Silicon Valley, Seattle, as well as Singapore, Malaysia, Korea, huge chapter in Korea, Beijing, Shanghai. Right.
The problem that you're solving, is it even a problem?
Well, I think it's something where there's a lot of misinformation. So a lot of what we do right now is education.
What are some of the greatest myths?
Oh, some of the greatest myths is that that if I'm an entity where I'm doing business in China, then I have no chance of getting any IP rights, or if I do, it's all just a waste of money. Or if I say, what about patent trolls, things like that. There's a lot of misinformation about NPEs around the world. It's not just a U.S. issue; it's happening in other countries as well. But you also have a lot of myths about, what is even possible with IP. How can I use IP as an entrepreneur to grow my business, or to actually use it to make a better product? Can I license it? Can I, what else can I do other than that? What else can I do other than enforce it? Or should I just let it sit on the shelf and wait till someone else attacks me, then use it against them? Right? There's a lot of opportunities to actually use IP in your products and make sure that you're making a better product and you have a sustainable business. Right? I mean, the IP is really the enabler of the knowledge economy. I mean, without that, without some type of IP protection, you have really no sustainability of your business. You may make great profits for 1 or 2 years, but without IP, your entire product line is going to be commoditized, and you're not going to make any profit anymore. There's no incentive for you to then actually create a new business. So what we want to do is a lot of this is education. We want to educate all the people in the entire chain, from inventors all the way to investors to people who are already in the area, and communicate best practices, make sure that people don't make silly mistakes that can be easily avoided.
Are there some specific examples where you're seeing IP on the shelf, to use your phrase, which is not being used for the betterment of humanity?
You certainly have large companies who have IP portfolios of thousands of patents, and they may only have 10-15% of their patents in actual products. Right? Well, what about the other 85%? What about the other 75%? Is it just there for defensive purposes? There's probably a lot of value that can be brought, by putting them out there for people to actually use. And sometimes there's IP that is held by universities, but universities have a very, very difficult time of out-licensing their technologies. Some are much more successful than others, but it's a huge amount of work that sometimes goes very unappreciated. And it doesn't, people may not even think, oh, I could license this technology from the university. I saw they got a patent for it. I wonder what they're doing with it. Right? So there's a lot of potential out there, both for growth of businesses as well as to educate people, again, to the possibilities and actually make sure that it's going to help people.
Still, if we don't go down this track, in other words, if you're unsuccessful in your mission, then at worst we suffer an opportunity cost, don't we? I mean, there's no grander threat, I suppose, to humanity. There's only the opportunity that's missed if we don't then use these patents. So I'm trying to figure out what's the business model behind what you're doing.
Again, we're a non-profit organization. We are nonpartisan. We're non-governmental. Most of the people are doing this to pass on the knowledge that they've learned over the past few years to other people who just need it. So we are doing a lot of pro bono work right now, and again, a lot of presentations.
You're sitting here talking to me.
Yes, sitting here talking to you. We're a partner here at this event. We're partners at some other events. We've partnered with certain governments in certain cities or countries who are interested in using our platform to help spread the word about IP, right? And really, we're not a trade organization, so we don't push any political view or any specific industry view. What we really want is just the better use of IP.
Right. So to wrap up then, how will you know you're successful in your job?
When, I guess, we'll be successful when we don't need to have the discussion with entrepreneurs who say, oh yeah, I've just done this great pitch. And I say, well, you've done the great pitch, but you've just lost all your patent rights. And they say, really? Why? And I say, well, you just told a room full of people under a non-confidential basis everything about your new business model and your invention. And they go, oh, gee, what do I do now? I'm like, you're in a bind. So I don't want to see things like this happen. I don't want to see companies, and we don't, as a group, we don't want to see companies who are investing all this money but not actually helping out people with getting better products out there, safer products, more useful products, more affordable products out there. So, and you don't want to see businesses who are not sustainable because they haven't thought about IP at the early stage.
Thanks again, Michael Lin from Marks & Clark Hong Kong, and joining us today in his capacity at IPBC at the IPBC Business Congress 2015 in Tokyo.